And today we're sort of at the foot of Whinless Down, and what we're trying to capture really is people's memories of, you know, what's now woods, but then the downs as well, and what they remember, you know.
Well, nice thing for me, it's my view out my bedroom window, so it's the first thing I see every morning, wake up. Obviously when we first moved, I think we moved to Dover in 1970, so for me, obviously used to spend a lot of time playing down the park, going for walks on the hill, and the other thing that really stands out for me is the grass blowing across the hill. When it moves, it was just beautiful to watch.
Wow.
And the other thing, I suppose, is from my younger days, I used to walk to school across the hill, because I obviously went to Astor, and it was just, you know, you got the diagonal path down and in, so but we used to spend a long time playing, going exploring.
And all sorts of mischief, probably.
Yes, although, I mean, we used to sledge on this hill, so I still take my son sledging at the far end with everybody else, which I think actually is lovely, because it's one of the few things I think where kids actually assess risk for themselves still. But no, we used to go up to the top, sledge down on these wooden sledges that were made by my dad, and he used to have a fantastic time, yeah. So it's great sledging hill, but of course it's harder now because there is more trees on it and things like that, so it's less easy.
You're obviously coming to this event today, but you live locally, don't you?
Yes, I live on the hill.
Tell me about where you live and how long you've lived there.
We've lived there since 1970, and our garden's backs onto the hill on the other side, and it's very wild.
Nice.
And it's lovely because we see this hill. It's our view. You see it changing in the different lights, and at one time there used to be long grass on here, and you see it waving. It was like, you know, velvet almost moving. And
so you've seen over 30 years the grass turn into what we now see as the woodland.
Well, there was always sort of scrub, but there was a lot of well, I suppose the grass just grew naturally, and it was just beautiful. It just used to waft about.
I guess it's you know, it's, not everybody knows how beautiful it is up there. You know, they don't.
No, and it's a bit of a climb up, isn't it? But you can go straight up the dirt route, or you can go across.
Depending on how energetic you're feeling.
Yes, and then there's fantastic walks along the top and into the Bluebell Woods and on the other side, and it's.
So what are the biggest changes you've seen to the landscape up here?
The landscape now is a lot more open. You've got access to it, right? Whereas before you was struggling to get through on the footpaths and ways up there that were overgrown. So it's a lot more open, a lot easier to access. A lot more people, I suppose. Things have changed quite a lot up here. When it started, it was all overgrown. They've had the scrub bashers up here, knocking all the bushes down, which is great. It's opened everything up. The wildlife, there's a lot more here than I can see. Every now and again I see foxes coming through, the odd badger, and I think I've seen either a weasel or a stoat many years ago. I haven't seen him since. So the wildlife is quite prolific, and the butterflies, well, hundreds of them. I couldn't name them at all.
What's your favourite times up here?
Well, it certainly isn't when it's raining. Being up here 2-3 times every day, without any time off, Christmas Day, hail, rain, snow. Best time I suppose has got to be dawn, just as the birds are coming out and chirruping and making themselves known, just as it's starting to get dusk. That's a good time, certainly in the warmer times of the weather, but winter time can be a bit grim. That's the problem.
Best part of Allensvale really is when the circus used to come.
Oh, tell me about that, please.
It was once a year the circus used to come. It was in the middle 50s onto the 60s, and all the lorries used to come in, and they used to open the railings up and let them all in with all the animals except for the elephants, and they used to arrive by train. And you'd go down to the station and follow them all the way up the Folkestone Road, up the Allensvale Road, and there was about 8 of them. And they'd all be holding trunk and tail together. And it was a lovely sight, it really was. And then one day I was sitting with my mother in our dining room, and we looked out the window, and all the elephants had escaped. And they were all running over top of the hill, and what a sight that was to see. We've always, as children, always played down here. Used the tennis courts when they were there. And then, obviously, we always played on the hill because there was no trees on the hills then. You could literally go up there, roam about. Our parents could see us from the houses. And it was just great fun. We used to go adder hunting.
Great. So it's a safe environment.
Yes, it was. And there used to be 3 seats right at the top where we used to go and take a picnic up there and just really enjoy the out life up there.
What about the lovely orchids that are in abundance on Whinless Downs? Do you look out for them especially, and do you record when you see them as a matter of interest?
Yes, I do. There's the early, common early spotted orchid, but there's a lot of pyramidal orchids up here, and I've seen some bee orchids up here as well, especially that large one last year, the large white one.
But looking at the animals when they're grazing, we've had Connex horses grazing for a number of years. Do you think, in your opinion, make a difference to the site when they were grazing?
Yes, they do, because the grass is much shorter and it gives some of the other plants a chance during the months that the horses aren't there. But in the case of the cattle, they used to chew the bushes as well, so they probably did a bit of pruning while they were up there.
So have you ever volunteered with the Whinless Countryside Partnership in helping them to manage the site in any way, or have you got some other particular way that you volunteer by perhaps making a diary or sending in information about what you see?
Yes, I've mostly kept a diary and sent in notes, and I always take photographs all the time. And I have sent them to the Whinless Facebook page, but I might be able to send you some direct and mail.
That's very kind of you, thank you.